Even though there's a few of us that are leading this event, the idea behind Ethiopians in Tech is really just to build up a community of Habashas that are working in tech, interested in tech. We're in London. London has the best tech scene. I go to a lot of Africa-related tech events with my there's a few people here that attend those events, women in tech, people of color in tech events, and I just don't see enough of our people there. And I know you're in the community, you're doing your stuff, and it would be really great to build up a community of people like yourself that are doing really amazing things, so we can learn from each other and showcase what we're doing both here and also in Ethiopia. We're going to kick off the event today with a little introduction about the Ethiopian in Tech community, which will do a little presentation to tell you what it's about. And then we're going to do a little fireside chat, which with our guest speaker here. Unfortunately, Yodit, who's kindly given us the space for this event, couldn't stay to join us for the fireside chat, but we will have her back at future events. But for the first event, it's really about the community. It's really to engage you guys. So I will be asking you questions. I will be asking you about your journey. So really just, take part and engage, okay? I'd like to come up and do your bit. And for those who came late, that have the little task, this is the prize that you're about to win. So you will have some chances later to complete your sheet.
Thank you, Lee. Hi everyone, my name is Nahu. For the next 5-10 minutes, I will be talking at you, which means I'm not taking any questions because I probably won't know the answers. But so to start off with, Ethiopians in Tech was founded in Silicon Valley. It was a bunch of Ethiopians that came together and decided to come up with some kind of networking or an association to work towards a common goal. So, people from various backgrounds doing different things, but all professionals doing amazing things. And that hub decided to branch out and go global. And this is the London hub. So this is our first meetup, as Glenn said. So why Ethiopians in Tech? So basically, as you can see, we want to connect people. There's so many talented Ethiopians around the world, and the whole point is to build a network of everybody. So this isn't, we're not trying to set up a company or like an official association where you have to attend, sign up, none of that. It's just a bunch of guys coming together, working towards a common goal. So this is pretty much the idea, right? So the current tech environment in Ethiopia, and I might be preaching to the choir here, but you guys would probably have some idea of the states. Ethiopia is the kind of talent we have, the excitement around investment in the country. So there's a lot of skilled software engineers. There's so many universities churning out really good people, very talented young people. The demographic is extremely exciting for companies wanting to do business in Ethiopia. So there's a lot of good things going on, but at the same time, there's some key shortages like best practices, project management. A lot of the skills that you guys have here, working day in, day out, that you can bring to Ethiopia and make a big difference. So that's talent. The next one is capital. So again, there's a growing startup in Ethiopia. There's more and more people involved in tech, more and more hubs trying to foster these startups in Ethiopia. But at the same time, we need capital. We need access to serious money to develop these organizations or startups. So this is another area that we can make a difference because we have contacts, we have the know-how and the technical capabilities. The other one is an ecosystem. So there might be a bunch of guys with really good ideas, but they don't know how to transform them into products, into things that can change people's life, like tangible products that people can have. So there's really promising beginnings. Like we have incubators, university networks, Sheba Valley in America. They're doing an amazing job there. So it's looking very promising. But at the same time, again we have shortages like capacity, scale, limited network infrastructure. So So these are problems that we can overcome, but only if we build a network, a very resilient network of like-minded people. And obviously in the policy front, we all hear the good news that's coming out around ICT and tech in general. It's becoming more prominent. People are understanding that tech is the future, so we can definitely leverage that. But on the flip side, there's some obvious problems that we need to work to resolve. So this is to give you guys a very broad picture of what tech in Ethiopia looks like. And the plan of EIT is to focus on 5 specific things to try and make a difference. And the first one is mentorship. And that's the most straightforward one because there's a very diverse community here, tech savvy people, and we can mentor, we can share our experiences, we can advise the startups, and that's a very one of the pillars that EIT is looking for. The other one is consulting. Again, it's all about imparting knowledge, sharing your experiences, but at the same time being able to consult on a high level. So, policy advisory, and this isn't just suggesting ideas, but formulating those ideas, having proper plans, and being able to explain how those ideas will make a difference. And I think we have enough people with amazing backgrounds that can do that. So we want those people to connect and act on it. Entrepreneurship, investments, again, if people here have good ideas, then you can network, you can bounce your ideas off each other and try and come up with something tangible that you can do in the country. But all this is not in the framework of a company or an association. All this is, you guys can do it because you want to, because you have a common goal, right? So that's what EIT is looking for. So yes, as I said, these are the 5 pillars that EIT will try and focus on, and hopefully you guys will be ready to join the movement.
Yes,
that's it for me.
Thank you. So that was really just a very basic summary. As we move forward and do future events, we will share more drilled down information about the actual tech ecosystem. So who are the tech hubs, who are the startups that are getting funding and winning incubator and accelerator programs, who are the ones that are getting recognition. There's a lot of, over the sort of couple of years, there's been a lot of platforms that are actually telling stories. Most of you know about the robot Sophie, which was had contribution from the ICOG's team in Ethiopia. Obviously, Gaber, which is a Pan-African software development company that's trying to train not just Ethiopians in tech, but move on to francophone countries and actually build a big Pan-African company. So with the population growing and the population being really young in Ethiopia, there is a lack of developing skills and actually competing with technology, not just on the continent but globally. So we have a lot to play. The young people in Ethiopia, they're doing amazing stuff, and as we go along, we will be sharing their stories, their challenges, and as we tell you those stories, we will also do like a comparison of how the Ethiopian ecosystem compares to other countries like in West Africa and East Africa and South Africa. So at the moment, in the last year, even in the first 2 quarters of, since the first quarter of this year, investment has increased within startups, but it's really going to Ethiopia. The way it compares to places like Nigeria, we're far behind, but the investment in tech on the continent is growing, and it's been growing steadily, but we need to be a part of that. We need to be part of the startups that are having the same success, and we all have a role to play. Later, there's a few people that have projects going, sort of like Emira's, and a few people that are working on Ethio Next Generation Group. If you want to touch upon that a bit later, if there's other people in the room that might be interested in. So we're going to go on to our fireside chat, but it's it's with Samarit, but I'm going to draw everyone in because it's really to learn about your experience, your journey. We will have some time at the end to continue the networking. We've got a little chart or little sign-up sheet there. What we want to find out from you is what kind of events and meetups do you want to see? I know someone already said they're interested in blockchain, someone was interested in, where can they go to find opportunities and jobs? So anything that you want to see moving forward with regards to the meetups, just write your ideas there. The next one we're looking at is June, so if there's anything important or key that you want to find out about, just let us know. Okay? We're going to get you to just briefly introduce yourself, what you do, and then we'll go into briefly talk about your journey into sort of your tech sort of experience.
So my name is Samarit Sisai Raya. I am currently a business analyst and project management in an investment bank in the Canary Wharf. My background is I studied computer science. I've got a degree in computer science. From the time I finished university, I've been working in the financial sector. And I started in a small company that sold financial information to investment bank, asset management. And after that I worked in Thomson Financial, currently Reuters. They were smaller then. And after that I moved on to investment banks, and I've been working in investment banks since. So I've worked different fields. I was a developer, I've done support, I'm doing business analyst and project management at the moment.
So when you first started, when you said you went to, you did this at University of Computer Science?
Yes, computer science.
Was that here or back?
It was here. Yeah. So I did my levels in London, and then I moved to Aberystwyth, which is in Wales, to do my to do my university. It was, I had a very good experience there. The lectures were very good. So I did 4 years there, and I did a year placement in Wales as well, and I was working for the NHS in a hospital in their IT department. So
did you always know that that's what you were going into? What was the A-levels?
No, it's all just faith, basically. I
you had an interest?
I was good in maths, but when you come here, I didn't have the background. I didn't know, literally I was 19, I just didn't know anything. So I just came. I did my A-levels, and then my sister and I were sitting and discussing and saying, what shall I do? I think we should do computer science because you're good in maths. Okay, I wanted to do economics, and she's like, no. I think computer science is better. So I went, and here I am. So I did computer science. The first year was very challenging because I've never touched a computer before I went there, and there was the language barrier as well. And so I went in, and then they're talking about operating system, hardware, coding, ADA, etc., and I was like, what's that?
When at the time that you were at university, because I know we've got some computer science people here, and having spoken to other women in doing computer science, a lot of them still have an issue that there is not enough women in the class or in their sort of lecture rooms. What was that like for you? The same? Or?
There were 100 of us when we started. So there were 90 men and 10 ladies. So
small number, but 10 is still not bad.
I think, if my recollection is good, 70 of us graduated and 2 ladies.
So, and you graduated as well?
Right.
So what you like? I don't know what I'm doing. You stayed through the course, you did the course, and so what was your thinking behind, okay, I'm going to do computer science, don't know what I'm doing, I'm not sure this is for me. You've done it. What was your thought about the future?
There was no future thought either, because you didn't.
Everything just happened organically.
So I was in Wales, obviously I had to move to London. I moved to London, but I started looking for a job in May. So I was graduating in June. So I think for me, the best thing was in Aberystwyth is that I only had British friends, so they know the system. So they were helping me, and I was following what they were doing basically. if I was in London, if I did that, I don't think I would be where I am today. I don't think so, because you'll be more in your comfort zone, your own community, etc. And it's good. I mean,
take note, stay in the community.
No, I mean, it's good to have the community support. I didn't have that. However, it's also good to mix with others, because especially the local ones are the ones that know the system. Obviously, I mean, the youngsters, they've got us now, and they probably, if they reach out to us, we can advise, we can guide. But back then, I didn't have anyone like that. So the fact that I was in Aberystwyth, I think that was a good thing.
Okay, so from uni, what was your first job?
Oh, I worked in a company that sold financial information to the investment banks and asset.
So you pretty much stayed in that sector?
In that sector. I mean, it's pure luck, because I didn't know anything. I didn't know about the city. I knew nothing. And then a lady that I knew, she told me there's this square mile. And back then we had a map. So it was all in pink. So she explained all these things to me, and then afterwards I said, okay. So it was all just I don't know, it happened.
One of the things that I want to touch upon is, because the plan was to have 2 female speakers, also touch upon looking at diversity in tech, so with regards to, being a woman in tech, and also, being a black person in tech in the UK. If you had any experiences or challenges, it's a topic that a lot of people are talking about and trying to address and trying to change with regards to fair payment, and also trying to make companies and hiring people inclusive. So that's something I want to touch upon, and I'll sort of throw it to the audience, see if anyone has any similar experience. But with you sort of being in that financial sector, back then, has things changed? Did you have any challenges, or it was quite an inclusive sort of ecosystem with the companies that you've been with?
It was really, I mean, again, like I said, it was a very small company. I was probably the only black person there. I don't know how I got there.
But so you didn't have any, because sometimes you could be the only black person and not have any issues.
I didn't. I mean, they were very, I think, obviously, because when I was back home, I went to a French school, so I had that exposure of being with other nationalities, etc. So I think it was very easy for me to mix with the guys here, and it was, I mean, obviously, a lot of them are men, but it was okay. I didn't find it that difficult, so it was okay.
And the sector that you're in, sort of the financial sector, your role, do you have a lot to do with fintech, and how has that impacted your industry? Because obviously the UK is one of the top fintech sectors.
Yeah, I mean, in investment banks, I mean, big corporations in general, I think everything is slightly technically, technology-wise, sometimes it can be slightly slower because it's all. Yeah, and also when you release something, it's very controlled. You've got to have your own kind of security, etc., around everything that you release. So for that reason, things are slightly slow. For example, for us, we only went on Windows 10 this autumn. So don't laugh. So it takes a while for things to be released and for us to catch up. But we do have a lot of legacy applications as well. But and it's because it's big and because there's a lot of transactions, etc. that happens. It's not, you can't just move from one technology to another overnight. It takes a long time.
So looking back on your journey where you sort of thought, I'll do computer science, and all the job that you've had and where you are now, what's been sort of success stories and sort of milestones for you in your journey?
I think the success, the main thing is me completing my degree, having that foundation, and the fact that I did computer science, that gave me a good foundation. And that's why I was able to move from one job to another. I can wear different hats in my roles, etc. So that is the best thing that has happened. Challenges? Did you ask the challenges? Or you said successes?
No, successes, but definitely if there's any sort of challenges or anything that maybe you might do differently.
Do differently. I don't think I would do anything differently because I've learned a great deal throughout my careers. I've worked with very very intelligent people. And I've learned a lot from these guys, so I see the benefits a lot. Today I wouldn't be here talking to you guys if it was not for the work. Yes, exactly. So, you know, and thanks to Teddy, Dr. Teddy there, he's the one who put me forward.
Highly recommended.
And he was reminding me that I was
Did I? No, I was just doing something here.
So, like, the sector that you're in now, if, say, there's someone in this room that wants to sort of go into your sort of role, your sort of area, would you recommend they go through the same path, or what's the career path now for the kind of role that you're doing?
I mean, I didn't start investment bank as a graduate, so I don't know what it was like before. But now, graduates, they start recruiting graduates very early, even from first year. So you really need to keep your eyes open. Like first year, I think, in October, we start interviewing, for example.
When they start,
October, November, we start interviewing. The first year student, they come in for a week during Easter. Yes, during Easter. But they don't log in or anything, so they have a week where people will talk to them and give them an insight about the companies, etc., etc. That's how we do it. And then second year, they can come and work in the summer. So already they will go in during that week, and then they get recruited. I mean, people would be recommending, you know, you will have interaction, you'll be talking with many people, and then
actually the person they're like trying to connect with.
Yeah, but having said that, for example, to move into IT, if someone is interested, they can do any discipline. It doesn't matter what degree you have. It's open for anybody that is interested in to come and work. And IT is still very diverse, so you can do program manager. You know, you can be a project manager. You can be business analyst. You can be physical security guys. For example, the physical security guys, they are ex-policemen, ex-army. So it's diverse because it's a big. You know, the investment banks are usually big. They've got various roles there. So. And anyone can apply as long as you apply very early, and everything is on their HR side. It's well documented. You can call, you can ask.
So, we're going to open the questions to the audience. If anyone has a question, or I'll open the questions to the audience. Any questions?
No.
Oh, hold on.
Thank you. Now,
Thank you. Have you gone back to Ethiopia to do any work in Cape by any chance?
No, I've not done any work in Ethiopia, unfortunately. But I would love to. That's why I'm here. Yeah, this kind of work.
With regards to going back to Ethiopia and doing work, was it more mentorship, or was there anything specific?
I'm flexible. Yeah, but for example, I wanted to learn more about the specifics. Yeah,
yep.
Even mentorship. What is the mentorship? Who do you mentor, etc. That information lacks at the moment. So it would be really good if we've got a website.
Yep. So definitely go onto the Ethiopians in Tech website. There is a form that you can complete with regards to giving your details on what you know with regards to mentorship. So we will share that with you, and the team in Silicon Valley will share that with you as well. But you know, there's always other ways that, you know, if we wanted to create something, we can do that. So it's very open if you have any ideas and suggestions. And one of the points you mentioned with regards to the graduate program within your workplace, for any students that we have here, you know, there are a lot of amazing graduate opportunities for students. And we will, if anyone's interested in that, we will try and share that with you. There's a lot of companies that have a lot of opportunities, work experience. So again, you know, where we can recommend someone within our group, because most people like to have someone recommended that, you know, if they trust you, they value your opinion, you recommend someone, it just means a better entry point for the person you're recommending. So we'll definitely do that within our group.
I don't mean to be controversial, but is all the leaders I have in the bank secure according to the office.
Of course, yeah, very secure.
Good.
Very, very secure.
Anyone here that's in a similar role? If you could just kind of briefly summarize, introduce yourself, tell us what you do, and kind of just briefly say your journey, just to compare.
Talk about being put on the spotlight. So my name is David. I work for Investec, it's a South African bank, and I work in the quant credit risk space. So my job is actually to estimate how much loss the bank makes. I've been there for 6.5 years, and my brother also works actually at Investec. He's not here today, but he works there for 7.5 years. In terms of the journey of joining Investec, I stumbled into Investec rather than actually directly heading for Investec. I initially started as teaching. I taught science, technology, engineering, and maths.
Where?
That was at Imperial College.
Okay.
Yeah, so when you look at sort of that space and where you want to go, teaching is great and you motivate people, but for yourself in the long term, you've got to make strategic decisions. And I thought actually you can start teaching, and that's a long journey, or you can go into something different and have an experience in an industry that is quite competitive. And that's how I found myself in banking. I want to try something different. I want to try an industry that's quite challenging. And Investec came about because my brother works there, so he thought, that's a great company, you should go check it out. So I did. Yeah.
Did you just apply, or did you do additional training for it?
So I think in the initial phase of applying, so as you said, the graduate program, etc., takes a long time. So when I applied in my final year, 4th year, a lot of the applications that I had was just pure rejections, all the way flat out. I didn't have any experience in banking, no internships, no experience in the financial sector, so it was flat out rejections. So I went into teaching, I did a bit of teaching, and then the next following year, I had sort of time to reflect exactly what I wanted to do, to study a little bit more about the industry, to do some research in terms of what area specifically that I want to do and why I want to do it. So when you go into interviews, you are a lot more prepared than a normal speaker because you're taking a bit more time to do a bit more research. So that comes through quite a lot. And when we start now, where you work there for 6-7 years, and you see people come through and you interview people, you know who's come prepared and who hasn't. Right? And I think one thing that I take back now is the initial stage is difficult. And most of them are rejections. So you got to get comfortable being rejected and to turn back away. And that's just the nature of the industry. When I applied, I think we had 2,000 people for that role, and they took 6 people. So it's very competitive, but the approach is go in with a belief that you can get it. If you don't get it, you learn something from it, and you go back out again and try something, and eventually that come through. So yeah, that's it's not easy, but it's definitely doable, and I think a lot of Ethiopians are quite driven, and they've got the capability. It's just you just have to go in with the belief that you can do it, and yeah, so that's a little bit about me.
I'm going to ask you something later, which is about investing, and I know you're interested in investing in Ethiopia and the tech scene, but we'll come to that. Does anyone have any similar?
Hi, my name is Hermon, and my background is computing and mathematics. I currently work as a solution architect for a hedge fund. That basically means I manage companies' exponential data growth, like big data, and my task is to basically design solutions. Currently, I'm working for a hedge fund.
Who's your client? Sorry, what kind of client?
Oh, it's actually internal sort of infrastructure. Just to sort of keep it brief, so I've been working in the IT sector now for over 10 years, and if I was to give advice to my younger self, I would say put more emphasis on networking. Networking is really important. You know, you guys probably heard the saying, it's not always what you know, but who you know. And I've been involved in the sort of hiring and recruitment process in not where I am, but in other places, because by contracts I've worked in many places, and I've done like CV screening and actually been involved in the recruitment and conducting technical interviews. And I echo what you said earlier about being prepared. You can really see the candidates who are prepared, and also having the right attitude is so important. Like if you have a can-do attitude, in most cases we actually take candidates who have the sort of appetite and the interest, and that really comes through. It's not always about your experience, because a lot of the times, especially if we're hiring for junior roles, we find the candidates, obviously, they don't have the experience. So we look for candidates who have the right attitude, who are keen to learn, who we can sort of take on board and sort of train up and sort of scale up. So yeah, to summarize, I'd say it's important to network, because that's a good way of meeting people, and they can sort of refer you and sort of help you find opportunities. And also, especially in IT, it's a kind of changing environment with sort of big data, not big data, sort of automation, AI, of course, machine learning. So you'll have professions which won't exist in the future. Obviously, new ones will spawn, but sort of networking and kind of meeting people is a good way to find sort of where the technology is heading, and sort of make sure you are on the technology curve and you're not sort of training for a career path which won't be there 5-10 years from now.
Yeah.
I initially wanted to get into programming, but it didn't work out that way. So I had like I guess you could say, an inquisitive mind. I always wanted to understand how things worked, whether it's car engine or the heart or just some random stuff. I always wanted to understand the nitty-gritty. And sort of in my early years, sort of the internet was taking off, and actually I wanted to understand how this internet works. And I got into sort of web design, because I wanted to understand, how do you put a website together. So I started sort of learning HTML codes and scripting, and then I started making basic games. So I thought I had it figured out. I was like, okay, I'm going to go into programming, and that's going to be my thing. I got into university. I chose computer and mathematics. I thought, okay, the maths will help me with the analytical side and kind of the logic. And then I got to the second year, and I was like, okay, I don't want to do this. Coding is not for me. It's just, it's not that interesting. So I kind of found myself, okay, let me just get through the degree, and then I'll, see what the job market is like. And then I ended up getting a call like about 2 or 3 weeks after I graduated, and it was this startup which did managed services, which basically mean taking on board companies' IT infrastructure and kind of managing it on their behalf. And it was a great place to learn, because we had many clients, sort of many, you could get your hand on all technologies. Exactly. So I was like Yes. So I started off as a second-line support engineer, but we had access to everything. So we had access to the database, to the firewall, to the switches. So it was a good place to just build up your skill, and then you could specialize. So I ended up getting into managing the storage, and then that kind of sort of led on to me specializing in data and kind of like data management. And yeah.
Do we have anyone here that's kind of working in tech, doing something in tech, but that didn't go through the conventional university sort of route? Anyone that just landed in there organically?
Hi everyone, my name is Yanessa. I actually started studying business, then I went to do finance because I found marketing and management classes really boring. And then I graduated during the crisis, so I was with my, since 2009, so I was with my banking degree and then trying to find a job. It was a bit of a nightmare, and then I got this job in London, so I moved to London and I started to work in what they call the fund administrator, basically manage reporting for hedge funds. And I did that for quite a while, about 5 years, and it got really boring. But what kept me alive is we started with Excel, and then the company decided to automate everything. and I got involved in the automatization of the daily task and so forth. And actually, it was kind of by chance. And then I tried to move out of the company, and then I got this job where I applied for a business analyst. And then when I got the contract, it said product manager. I didn't even know what it was at the time. And I took the job, and then I learned the role of working with product, which is basically working with tech teams and the business and aligning them to a vision and bringing the right requirements for the tech teams to build the right application so we're successful on the market. And now I've been doing it for 3 years now. And now I work in a payment company, and I'm working with like state-of-the-art type of technologies, so it's quite interesting. It keeps you challenged. You always need to learn, so it's not boring anymore. But it was quite unconventional because just things fell into place as it came along. But it's been quite interesting so far. Yeah.
What I really liked about that, you said it had this job description, you don't know what it was, but you still took the job.
Yeah, because
So what was the drive?
because
you obviously
yeah.
are suitable for the job.
Yeah, my dad works in IT actually. He's been working like for, I don't know, 40 years now in IT. And I was talking to him, I was like, I'm not sure. And then I started reading online, and he was like, no, go take it, it's really good. That's where how companies are working towards to now, because it's within this new way of developing software, so it's different methodology, and it fits in that new methodology called Agile. And then, so he was like, yeah, this is good. So I was like, I trusted him, and then I was like, I wanted to change anyways, so might as well try and then figure out for yourself, and if it doesn't work out, you can always change anyways. I don't know, that's the way I was thinking, and I like, because the job is very varied, because you're the interface between the business and the technology team. You have a lot of stakeholders and different level of discussions, and then as well there's the whole business analyst part where you need to figure out the requirements. So there's a bit of detective work in a way, and it's quite interesting. And then you need to figure out, based on what's needed on the market, you need to prioritize which type of work you're going to do. And then there's also the whole negotiation between what can we do within the timelines, the business, and then negotiating as well with the tech teams, what can we do within the standards of what the company wants to accomplish. So it's a constant negotiation, and yeah, I like it because it keeps, I need to be on, yeah, otherwise I get really bored easily. So I think that job is really great. And then I find as well it's great to be in a job where you learn all the time. Yeah. So that's it for me. Yeah.
My takeaway from that is do not be afraid. Like, go for it. Do we have anyone who's interested in getting into tech and is not sure where to go, or is everyone kind of in that area? Anyone in the room that's not too sure? We don't have to have anyone in the room, but you are doing something.
Sorry. Hi, my name is Melat. I'm currently a computer science student, and I'm really interested in the tech industry, but I don't know how to enter it. I know I'm studying computer science, but it's very tricky because you have all these things like software engineer, data science, and all these, I suppose, sectors in tech, and it's a pretty confusing path on which route to take in tech, and that's.
Yeah. To respond to that a little bit and to mirror on what Samra said. Yeah, so when I came to this country, like I literally didn't know that many people. I just was very much interested in science, and I didn't do computer science, like I just did electronics because I thought it was close to technology, and that's what's new, and that's what most companies are aiming towards. And for me, in a very short time, I did make sure that I kept like positive environment around myself. And a bit like what Samra said, what really helped me when I was about to graduate was the people around me, because they are very driven, very ambitious, and that kind of wears off on you as well, and that helps you stay focused into like choosing the right programs. And in terms of deciding what to specialize in, I think for the first few years, I don't think you need to be that sure, because things will happen naturally, and you'll eventually end up in a sector that suits your skills and suits your interests. So, yeah.
So how do you pick the right friend to have?
I think you know. And this helps as well, like this network is a good thing as well, because you have people that would have more things in common with you, that have gone through a few experiences and can kind of mentor you or guide you through it.
But also, can I add to that? The biggest network you can have in the whole planet is yourself. The brain has got lots of networks. You are more than capable of doing things on your own that you would think you would get help from anyone or anything. The moment you start to give the opportunity, the authority to someone else to help you, guide you where you want to be, first, say it. You want to do something for yourself before you do something to your mother. Let's get the facts right, right? So do it for yourself. Look at inside you. What do I want to do? Is this something that I'm going to be happy? No. Don't choose the easy ones. Don't go to somewhere where you can be happy. That place is tricky. You will be immersed in yourself. You will be going down in a place where you don't feel comfortable, in a place where you feel you can strive, be more and more, and most importantly, when you can inspire others as well. It's not just about us. We live with lots of chains together. If you lose one chain, you might look, because you're on top of the chain, you're not going to catch the fire, but sometime the fire is going to catch you. So believe in yourself, do it. And in IT, well, I might be the one odd out in this room because I have a pharmacology degree. I am a pharmacologist, but I work in a digital school, IB school, private school in central London. I'm a now Google certified educator. So saying that, I manage working in the lab. So I teach in the laboratories, let's just put it that way. So we are a digital school, paperless school. Pretty much the first school in the whole planet, well, in London, paperless school. We don't use any papers, it's just digital. So we choose the environments that we have, the iPads that we think are all for games. No, iPad is a brain on itself if you know how to work out with it. There are lots of educational apps that you can change the whole world of you around you. So you're lucky that you're in the IT sector. I liked it because I grew up in Asmara, Eritrea, and then we had this company called Eritrea German. Well, this was about 99, 97-ish. So there was this only one internet cafe. I don't know, you guys work in IT in Africa. So Eritrea and Morocco was the first countries that they had internet access in the whole planet. So my Ethiopian parents were like, oh, do you want to be a scientist or you're always spending your whole time in the computer? But I fell in love with the computer then. Then there was a game where, I don't know if you know the Mavis beacon, where you teach yourself typing. Kind of that. I learned how to type that, and it helped me when I was having interviews in not my current, but my first job. So we might involve, you're a pharmacologist, obviously you work in the lab and you like it in terms of computer. I mentioned this software, they gave me the job. So it's not what you think you're looking, it's what you think you don't have, that is the weapon. So believe in yourself and know what you want to do. And most importantly, don't give an authority to friends. As she was saying, like she mentioned about Thuat, I was so happy. My best friend, one of my best friends is from Abathwas, North Wales. And currently what I do, I go to North Wales, Snowdonia, once. So for a week we go in September and camp in the mountains. We work in the school, we go there. So do not limit yourself that you're not able of doing anything. Just figure it out when.
Sound advice. Believe in yourself.
Yeah.
And I would like to add.
I think he's spot on in the sense that you've got to be curious enough to say, I'm going to try to find out what I want to do. And you'll be amazed how much YouTube has in terms of content. A lot of the learning that I get at work is just sitting there and Google and searching. Genuinely, like sit there, there's enough research materials, universities are open space, you can look at Stanford's research lectures materials. You sit there and learn and keep up. And you gotta be a little bit more curious to figure out stuff and find out stuff. And you're not gonna always find the answer to it, but what it allows you is it gives you the opportunity to ask the right questions when you go to the right places. Employees are not looking for people who know the answers, because answers change all the time, but you want people asking the right questions. So if you're a curious person, as the guy here mentioned, I don't know if you've got your name, you'll find that that's more important than actually finding the answers. So ask the right questions, don't be afraid to make mistakes. I think everyone makes mistakes, and take the risk. What's the worst that can happen? You go there, they say, look, you apply for a job, they say, look, that's not the role for you, you go walk away. You go for somewhere else, they may be interested. If you don't apply, you don't know. If you knock on the door, they may say, look, we may need someone for this role, and then you may find out that you actually have a role. But take the risk. Take that as an opportunity to make mistakes. Don't worry about the rejection aspect. That's part of the learning. And be curious to learn a bit more. So that's pretty much what I would say.
I'm going to just double up on all the things that you said, like definitely network. So there's a network in this room. Obviously, you know what some of the people do from what they've said. So, you know, I hope you've shared details, you've joined up on LinkedIn. We haven't worked out what kind of communication group that we'll have, whether it's WhatsApp or another system, but we will have something where we can share opportunities with you. But for the time being, really like exchange details. You know, say, look, this is where I'm at, I'm not sure. One of the reasons that I was asking people their journey into where they are now, no one started from what they were thinking, so you don't have to know exactly what you want to do. Tech is so diverse that you might actually go into something and then end up doing something different, so don't put the pressure on yourself. But today you've got a network, and there's other networks out there that, you know, if you want me to recommend them, especially if you're looking to join more women in tech groups, there's a lot of groups that you can join, like the Ada list, an email network, and everyone's always sharing opportunities, asking questions, and there's similar groups like that. I use LinkedIn, similar to you. I'm on like YouTube, blogs. There's amazing content out there that you can learn and find out. So I'm happy to share that with you, but I would definitely recommend using the people in this room as a starting point. You had a question?
No, I was just going to say, I think what you said is that you don't really need to know. I think about how I got where I am from...
Introduce yourself.
Sorry, my name is Hues, and I work in cybersecurity at the moment. And when I went from A-levels to uni, I was just like, oh, I'm good at IT, let me do IT. I went into AI at that point because I was like, oh, maybe robots are going to take over. I need to learn how to stop them. And that's my logic behind doing AI. And then I did that, and then there was a massive crash, so there was no jobs, 2008. And so I was just like, oh, let me do a master's. And I randomly, I came across some book about security, so I literally just did IT security like that. And especially when you're at uni and you're picking the modules, don't worry too much. Like, if there's something that you think, oh, actually, that sounds interesting, go into it. The more interest you have, the better you'll do anyway. And at work, people are still figuring out what they want to do. So don't put too much pressure on yourself. That's what I would say.
So we're going to round up shortly. The other thing that we didn't touch upon is, even though this is an Ethiopian in tech group, we do want to encourage other people. You don't have to be a programmer, a developer, or have a specific role in tech. So I do marketing. My interest is working with tech startups to scale and grow their business. So there are so many different roles that work within the ecosystem. So don't feel like you kind of said, oh, I'm the odd one out. You're not. There's something that tech sort of covers everyone's sort of career space. So if you know anyone that would be interested in joining this group or coming to our future meetups, please invite them. If you've got an idea or a topic that you would like us to cover in the next meetup, please fill it on the board there. Like I said, we are going to try and organize a meetup in June. So any ideas, let us know. Does anyone want to make a statement or ask a question? I will let you do your bit, but before we move on to networking, yes, please.
Hi, my name is Makon Teferi. I'm cybersecurity technical consultant and analyst. I work for QA, also training. I do training, lecturing. One thing I'd like to give you advice for those of you who actually started this journey. Before you graduate, you need to scope. Especially IT is really like ocean. It's so vast.
Best thing is start with a platform. The platform is anything hardware, software knowledge. Add up network knowledge. Then if you think it's really, really good at programming, you don't have to waste your time in hardware and software. Just move on into programming. If you're really good in database, just stick with database. You don't have to spend time on hardware and software. So make sure your modules stick with that kind of scenario. Most of the things we do here is in QA, they are graduates. And the biggest mistake they do actually, they also do MSc, MA on computer science, which is the biggest mistake. Because employers, they don't like to see MA or MSc. They like to see.
Say why is a mistake?
Yeah, because they have to have experience. MSc and MA is designed. I used to teach London Met as well as Hammersmith in college. And most employers, I used to do hire and fire as well. So most of the things we do, when we see CV, if someone's saying, oh, I've got BSc honors on computer science, IT, whatever, whatever, and then plus MSc, but nil job experience, we throw it straight away to the garbage. We would rather take apprentices, come up with hands-on experience. Yeah, employ them, they can fix the PC. They can be able to connect network. They can be able to do troubleshooting. They can be able to connect printers. They can be able to do any kind of troubleshooting, day-to-day work, productivity. So the best thing I would advise you, those of you who haven't graduated yet, you need to scope. IT is really like ocean. When I did my first degree, it was Business Information Technology, BSc Honors. It's a 4-year project with 1-year project out, a sandwich course in Westminster University. The first time I saw actually, in fact, motherboard, what motherboard looks like, it was on 3rd year. Can you imagine? It was business computing course at Westminster University. They took us to the lab. The lecturer, the professor, the so-called professor, he just showed us, oh, that's the motherboard, that's the memory, that's the hard drive. That's it. That's the experience I had. But however, as soon as I went to the project, I've learned intensively from the hands-on experience. So that lifted up the entire career. Then from there, I pursue to move on into high professional qualification. Another advice I would advise you, those of you graduated or you haven't graduated yet, the best thing is if you want to move on into IT industry, you need to do vendor qualification. That is a de facto standard these days. You have to do like CompTIA qualification. You have to do a Microsoft qualification. You have to do Cisco qualification. Yeah? Yeah. So I would advise you as a platform, especially now these days, all employers, if you're trying to move on into IT, all employers are looking for CompTIA A+. It's a foundation course. If you're trying to move on into financial company, you see, when we do analysis sometimes, we go to them and find out who is your IT employee. And they come up 4 or 5 of them. Do they have any qualifications? Especially GDPR now. They're completely emphasizing on this point. So if they don't have a plus qualification, or if they don't have a network qualification, if they don't have any MCSE qualification, if they don't CCNA qualification, immediately the ISO 27000 immediately fail. We don't give that qualification because they're not qualified to do the job. So that becomes a criterion. So those of you doing any kind of university degree, you make sure you also combine it with vendor neutralized qualification, like CompTIA Plus or CCNA, that lift up your CV. And then I can guarantee you, you will be actually one of the shortlisted immediately. So this is what we're doing. This is what I always do every day. Yeah, we're teaching cybersecurity on S+. Very intensive course, 5 days course. So you're gonna spend another 3 months. It's 900-page books, you have to go through that. But it really covers the entire security. CompTIA Plus, the same thing, hardware, software, printers, everything. So if you go through those things, and if you're showing it to the employer, they would be able to select you. Otherwise, they will throw it in the bin. Okay, so that's why you're spending time. You're applying 1,000 jobs, you only get 2 or 3. Why? Because you need to choose. You need to think, why I'm getting 2 or 3 out of 1,000? Because you're not shortlisted. And these days, the database is selecting. That's what it does. All our professional, I don't know, most of you, I mean, I'm not going to say this, most of our professional people these days, we are actually getting employed through LinkedIn. I don't apply jobs. They come to me. They come to me, they check where my degree is, where my qualification is, what kind of titles I have. They prove it. And they just asking reference, that's it. They will give you an offer. So have a profile as well. Start LinkedIn. You know, start putting your LinkedIn profile, get network, share your knowledge, you know, get idea. And yeah, so I think that's the best thing you can do. Thank you very much. Any questions?
2 students here. I don't know if we have any other students. So yeah, we will cover all those points.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for that tip. And like Mokanem, we have other people in the room that have just a breadth of knowledge and information. And you know, we're just grateful that you can share things like this with us. So there's always people here that can take something away from it. I'm going to wrap up with Samrawit. Is there any advice, tips, anything you'd like to give the group, or just anything you'd want to talk about with Ethiopian tech ecosystem, the importance of networking?
Yeah, networking is very important. But I just would like now. I would like to thank Nahu. He did a great job of bringing us all together here. And
no. It's all about
no, hold on. So he initiated it, yeah, and then Blaine did the rest of the work. But I wanted to say thank you to him, and I'll come back to Blaine a bit later. But for the youngsters, I think just follow your path. I mean, things will fall your way. Don't question too many things, yeah. I mean, that's what happened to me. That's what happened to many of us. I mean, here, because we didn't sit down and plan it. I didn't question where I would go. So these things do come your way. If you work hard, it will come your way. If you try, you will work, it will come your way. Because when I finished, for example, with Thompson Financial, I was made redundant there. And then I was like, oh my goodness me. I was single. I mean, I was not married then. And I had responsibilities. And I was like, what would I do? I didn't think that I would be able to get another job, basically. But then I found a job in investment bank while I was on gardening leave. So all these things comes their own way. And also, yes, don't rely too much on your networking, because I had contacts, but what I really wanted was to find a job by myself. And that's how this job came. I wanted that deeply, and it happened. So it's just what you want, what you wish. If you generally focus on yourself, it will come through at some point. And at the end, I would like to say thank you to Blaine. She did a great job. Thank you.
If we can just give Samrawit for joining us and answering all our questions, if you could just give her another round of applause, please. I want to make sure that we have time to network. You've all got your little bingo cards. Try and complete it, because we are giving a book away today. A few of you have come with friends, and I've seen you talking to the same people in the room. I want you to mingle and talk to someone you don't know. This book is being given away today, so I want you to complete it. Like I said, if any of you have business cards, share it, share your LinkedIn details. If anyone who wasn't on the registration list is here today, please write your details so I can send you a follow-up. I'm not sure which next meetup, but I'm going to work out how to share like the tech ecosystem of Ethiopia. So whether it's like a broad overview of the startups doing things like who's the key players in agriculture, who's the key players in blockchain, who's the key players in software development. So I might just do like a really overview insight, and then as we do different topics, we'll do specific ecosystems.
No, that would be interesting to start with. We need to have the overview, and then we can go to the details probably on the next program.
Perfect. I'll add that to the list.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Please, if you want to speak, also add it to the board.
Introduce yourself for me, please. What's your name?
My name is Saifu.
And experience of what? A quarter of a century? Exactly doing what?
Software development mostly, and that's about it really.
So initially, where did you actually start? Here in London or?
No, I started in Ethiopia. I did electrical engineering actually in Ethiopia, and then came to UK, and I did.
Graduated at Miss Kilo?
I did.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you moved on to London.
And then moved to London. Actually, 25 years ago. Actually, I moved to Manchester. That's where I did my postgrad, and then moved to London and get into software, and the rest, that they say, is history.
So where did you travel then? That was the peak time. I take it early 90s.
Yeah, that's right.
So
yeah.
Where did you go from there in terms of experience?
I did a little bit of work in electrical engineering. That was in London, and moved to software after that. And then since then, I've never, it's just software after software after software. Never went back to electrical engineering. Yeah.
So what in this era, which is, we're on a different dimension now, the AI or whatever they call it now, how do you yourself in that, as a technician, as an expert, you're going to be replaced by man-made artificial intelligence? How do you yourself and the other generation to follow up in terms of finding a place?
Oh, well, you have to keep yourself up to date. Like if I was still using my knowledge I learned 25 years ago, I would have a place anywhere in this world now. But you'll have to, that's probably, one thing you need to do, you have to keep yourself up to date. Now there is cloud technology. There was no cloud technology when, I started in IT. So I keep myself up to date. You'll have to do some training and reading, and you'll have to keep yourself up to date.
Well, what would be the rewarding bit for young starters in this industry, where every day, every year is changing? Changing is the challenge. So at this moment, what would be the rewarding point for the new starters? Really,
unless somebody has, kind of, how should I put it? You need to be somebody who enjoys learning. That's the reward. You'll have to get satisfaction from learning new things. You need to be that kind of person, really. You enjoy learning new things all the time, non-stop. It's a lifelong thing. It's just, you can't say I've mastered IT. It's just changing all the time. So, you'll have to enjoy learning.
About opportunities, job opportunities?
Opportunity, I think in the future is going to be endless, because there is no profession, there is no industry now, whether be it in a developed country or emerging economies, where we don't use software or some kind of information technology. Be it medicine, agriculture, or any industry, you need to have some level of information technology.
So, how do you see the Ethiopian Rift Valley? Is it going to be the Silicon New Rift Valley in Ethiopia?
I think so, and I really hope so, because I see many young people interested in that field, and the society also, and even the government is also encouraging, going in that direction. So I hope we'll see one day the Ethiopian Silicon Valley. Thank you very much.
Hello there. How do you actually narrate what just happened to America? How do you narrate it down? Yes.
Okay, hi Index. It's such a great pleasure to be here. Very inspiring, and to see a lot of talents being shared, and thinking about IT and tech, especially in Ethiopia. In my view, it's a good opportunity to ask this question and involve the young generation. I'm not an expert in this field, but I tend to see the possibilities in finding a system whereby Ethiopia can benefit from IT and tech in general. I think this is what I can say at this stage, considering I'm not an expert, but I'm very proud to be here today, and I wish the organizers all the success in making sure they reach their objectives, and I think it's very prosperous, very inspiring, and we're all here to enjoy it, and good luck to everyone. Thank you.